Hello, my name is Janice Kohler-Curtis with the Institute for Multisensory Education, and I hope all of you are staying safe. And I know this can be a very difficult, uncertain time, and several of you are still tutoring. So I just wanted to share with you some ideas for how I'm tutoring. So I'm using Zoom meeting right now, and the CEO of Zoom actually waived the time limit. There was a time limit for that basic subscription, which was 30 minutes. He waived the time limit, and now it's unlimited time, which is amazing. I think that's great. So during this period, Zoom meeting will have unlimited time limit. So you can tutor up to an hour or more, but I doubt you would want to tutor more than that at one time period. But so this is really nice. The other thing I like, I have a MacBook Pro, and I also have an iPad that I use for tutoring, as well as an iPencil. And because they're all Apple products, they talk to each other. So when I share my screen, I can share my iPad screen, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to share with you what I'm looking at. Okay, so now you can see my iPad. So a couple of things that I really like. One is Goodreader, and that is the fifth one in at the bottom. It's green, it has the I and the white folder. So that's called Goodreader, and you can use it for PDFs, and you can write either with an iPencil or your finger on the PDF, which is nice. So I like that because I can create Google slideshows and then download it as a PDF, and then I can put it into Goodreader and I can show my student this. And the other thing I like about Zoom meeting is you can still see my picture here, and then I don't have anyone else on the line, but if I had my tutor here, I would be able to see his or her picture there as well. So we could be looking at each other. The other thing I like is Stage. Now this doesn't always work. It is right now, which is great, but I can also show cards. Now these are the small card pack, which fit nicely under the camera. So I can still show this. They're just like our classroom set, but they're smaller. So that's nice. It fits under the camera, and then I can still see my student. So if I want to do a visual cue, so yeah, sometimes it freezes. So it's great when it works, but another option is just to use your camera. So this is just my camera on my iPad. So I like this because I could be showing this and they can still see my face here, and I can see them, and I can see if they're doing this, which is nice. Okay, and then I've created this PowerPoint, and I can also do it this way. So I could start the visual drill, and they could be telling me the sounds that they know as we're going through this, right? And I could be watching them. So that's amazing. So those are all the sounds they know before I teach them the new concept. Then we could do the auditory drill, and they could either have an iPad there, they could have their sand, they could have shaving cream in a cookie sheet, they could have flour or rice or anything that they can use in the cookie sheet. Maybe they're finger painting, whatever their parents are going to allow. And so I would call out sounds. The sound is, or two ways to spell this sound. The sound is, and they could be, writing in their sand. I could use this to model if I needed to make corrections or anything like that. And then I have the blending drill, and I could have it prepared, and they could segment and blend at cat, real word. And so I could be doing this with them, or again, I could be using the camera, and I could be, preparing this here as well. Bop, bop. Okay, so we could be doing it like that. And then I could do a vowel intensive, so they could have their vowels there. I could be calling out the vowels or syllables, and they could be holding those up. The syllable is id. They would say id. I says in, hold up their vowel tin. Okay, so we could do that. Then I could also do teaching a new concept here. And again, I could have everything that my student needs. I can prepare that on IOG, and I can save that as a PDF, email that to my student, and then my student can print that, or the parent could print it. And so they would have whatever papers they needed. If they have an IMSE practice book, they could always have that practice book as well. They could have their decodable readers, all of that they could have from home. And you could also be showing it just under the camera, which is nice. But I also created a PowerPoint here, and I wish I had all of them, but I don't. I just did this, but it was quick and easy. I just did it this morning. So I could start with alliteration. Billy baked better brownies. What sound do you hear at the beginning of all of those words? And then we could introduce the new concept. We could talk about our articulators and what our tongue, teeth, and what our mouth is doing, our lips, and I could be seeing their mouth. They could be seeing mine. We could talk about, is it voiced or unvoiced? Is it a consonant or vowel? Where do I find it in the alphabet? We could introduce our object and so on. We could be brainstorming. We would do our letter formation. We could practice in the sand. And then I would connect to print. So I would use an IMSE decodable reader, for example. We could be highlighting the concept words in green. We could be underlining any red words, and we could be practice reading this. So we could practice that new concept in print. You can also tie in, this is a great way to tie in literature and work on those oral language comprehension skills and be reading to them and working on prediction and summarizing and all of those things. I could mark my phoneme grapheme chart. We could do our word dictation then. So I could have mine up here. My student would already have one printed, and I could call off words. Once I check how they're doing, you know, we could then write it down and model. So I could also show them if the word is bat, bat. And so I could model that for them if they needed, which is great. So I just really like this. You can also work on fluency, vocab, and comprehension and have those pages prepared. You could also just have hard copies of these and showing them under the camera. You can also work on red words. Don't forget that your manual has some great red word extension activities that you could be doing. And then you could present your word. The word is love. How many sounds do you hear? We're going to be learning the word love. How many sounds do you hear in love? I hear 3 sounds. What are they? L, v, love. How would you expect to spell that? And so just going through those steps, figuring out why this word might be a little bit different, talking about, you know, looking it up on etymonline.com and finding out the history of this word and finding out why it's spelled that way. And then you could go through the red word process. And again, they would have their red word paper. They could have a screen and their red crayon. This is also something that can be created on IOG so that, you know, you can send it to them. You could do the dotted letters and so that they can trace it as well. And so all of that can be saved as a PDF and emailed to your student. And then also you can work on syllable division as well. If your student is at that point, you could be presenting some words here, and you know, you could prepare this on IOG and they could print the words off and they could be doing it right there, or they can be copying it down on a dry erase board or just a piece of paper and working these out. So we would find our first 2 vowels, draw our bridge, and so on. So it's nice. I like the Good Reader because you can write right on here with your finger or with a pen. So it makes it really nice. Okay, so that is, and again, using the camera is great, and Stage is great when it's working. So it also has a whiteboard, which I like. So you can write on the whiteboard there, which is really great. And I'm sure a lot of you also have other apps that you like. Feel free to comment and share what apps you like. And the nice thing about this is if you're doing your practicum, this can be recorded just like I'm recording this and going to share it with you. So this can be used as an observation as well. But together we're going to get through this. And if you have any tips and tricks that you want to share, please comment and share yours. Okay, thank you. Stay safe.